Hey, everybody, welcome back. We had a nice lunch break. We got to update everybody on the WSIL page, and now we get to have the second sharp-dressed man in an interview, and that's Keith. I joke a little bit, give him a hard time, but he does look sharp. Keith with Johnston City H&R, and I've got to meet Keith at our kickoff, and I think a little bit before that. But Keith, tell us a little bit about your nonprofit, and then I'm going to give you some kudos that I was telling everybody offline in a little bit. But tell us a little bit about your organization.
Well, we're J City Center for Hope and Renewal. We are a nonprofit community development organization, and we provide services for both individuals and the community. And what we're doing for GiveSI this year is trying to promote an invested counseling program we have, which actually helps individuals help the community. It's a program where people who need counseling, whether it's for trauma, grief, relationships, mental illness, or whatever, they can schedule sessions with a professional counselor. And instead of paying for those sessions or turning those into insurance, they can do community service and invest hours in our community or their community, wherever they might live. And that helps them establish relationships and make a difference in the community, feel better about themselves.
So, hope and recovery, right, John?
Hope and
renewal. I all day today. Hope and abbreviate it messes me up. It's okay. How many years have you guys been?
We are just about 2 years old. We cut ribbon in October of 21. And we actually opened up with Take Action Today's first location in Johnston City. We are a community resource center as well for Take Action Today, so we share space with them, and we're great partners. We also partner with Caring Christian Counseling, Caring Counseling Ministries.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
You're not the only one. All these abbreviations. Anyway, Caring Counseling helps us with counseling clients that are able to take insurance. And so we do counseling, we do community service, we do a community newspaper that we've did some surveys in our community. We found out that there's a large percentage in Johnston City that don't turn to social media for their news. So we have the J City Arrow News. I don't know if you can
hold it up.
We're working on I believe it's our 6th edition, and it will come out this end of this week, and it's just a little 4-page newspaper we put out once a month. It's all local news. It's all about Johnston City, and it's just to promote our community, unite our community, to inform our community.
I think it's great. When you came, Keith, to the kickoff, I love the fact that I think you brought one, or you told me about how you integrate the podcast to the. Let me see that paper real quick. I love this because as a digital marketing instructor at SIU, we're always looking at creative ways. And I'm going to put this up here real quick. But if you subscribe or get their paper, there's a QR code that takes them to the podcast where you can get one-on-one, kind of like a more of an experience outside of this. And so the digital concept is great. And the other thing that I want to let everybody know is we've been doing this, Michelle and I've been doing this for 4 years, providing different types of marketing and research help for these nonprofits. And we try to bring in other marketing agencies too, so that way everybody gets different perspectives. But I want to tell you something. I've never been prouder than Keith embracing this. And so he has taken his what he's learned, and he's actually applied it, social media pages. So I want to tell you, I'm very proud of you. I feel like a dad. I'm very proud. But other than donating today, I want you guys to go out, subscribe, and I want you to follow and support Keith's efforts, because it takes a lot to do all of this, and then asking them to do social media stuff too. So I appreciate you, taking the time to do what we said. Hey, do this, and it'll pay off. And so you have done. So if there's an award for marketing of the year for this year, I'm giving it to Keith.
Nice.
So
congratulations, Keith.
Keith's getting my award. And there's been some good ones, but Keith is my proudest one. He's done an amazing job with it. So
So Keith, I want to go back to something that you said because I want to make sure I have a good understanding of it. So you mentioned that there were counseling services available, but explain to me how someone can get those counseling services paid for.
Well, basically what counseling through our center is if people will come to the center, we do an intake, we do an evaluation, we find out if they have insurance that they can use. If they have insurance they can use, we work with Caring Counseling Ministries to do the billing. If they don't have insurance or they don't have a choice in providers, many people who have state-funded insurance or Medicare or whatever may not have a choice in providers. So in order to get a choice, and we are faith-based, so it allows them to find a faith-based counselor. We find out if they can invest in the community or in their local church. As long as they're putting the time in and doing something to help someone else, they can basically pay for their counseling through it.
This is one of the most amazing things I've heard today because you're changing access for people who may not be able to afford it. So I almost am speechless. I know that doesn't happen very often.
No, it does not.
WSIL may not believe this, but I am almost speechless because for people who, like you said, can't afford those services, don't have the insurance to be able to pay for that, they still have an option, and it's reinvesting into the community. That's just genius. I love this idea and what you've been able to do with, trying to break down that barrier to mental health services.
Right. And we also, working with Take Action Today, we provide counseling for their participants as well as their staff members, because a lot of them are dealing with grief or trauma, issues that they have carried over, that they need some help with professionally. So we provide clinical level counseling for them. They provide peer recovery specialists for their participants. They'll talk more about that, I think, in your next session. So anyway, we just work with a lot of different people to bring some great resources to Johnston City and the surrounding area.
Keith, what have been some takeaways or some experiences that you've had firsthand with some of the people coming through the program?
Well, our very first person that was in the invested counseling program, she'd been to other counselors. She came to us. I sat down with her yesterday and did a little interview. I'm not going to reveal her name, obviously, because of HIPAA and other counseling ethics. But basically, she shared with me that the experience of not only going to counseling, but connecting with a local group that was helping our community. She got involved in a meals program, and she enjoyed it so much, she established new relationships, got new friendships, and she enjoyed it so much that after her counseling, she was done with the counseling, she continued to work in the meals program. So she still volunteers in the community, helping feed the hungry during the summer and then on weekends whenever one of our local churches does a drive-through meal.
The power that when you bring in faith and you bring God into these components, allowing them to experience love, to experience through Christ. Those are the most priceless things, because it's not about you, it's about the people. When you have that focus, you know that what you're providing for them is holistic.
Right.
And you're not just band-aiding something.
Right.
You are literally exposing them, allowing them to be loved, probably for the very first time, to know what it means for them personally, and then for them to be able to go out and then continue to serve because of how the Holy Spirit has worked in them. That is amazing, man. And I've gone through counseling myself through the spiritual faith-led part of it, and it's different. It's much more. The best thing I can say is holistic, right? It's you're counseling all parts of your body, and I think everybody does need that. And I'm glad they have you guys for that.
Right. Well, we're a totally volunteer organization, and the counselors that are providing invested counseling services, since there's no money exchanged, they're all volunteer. So basically, at this point, we're all a volunteer organization now. We work, through CCM and Take Action Today, and there's some money exchanged hands there, but it's basically we are trying to enable volunteers in our community, because we feel like there's not a lot of money in Southern Illinois, especially not a lot of money in Johnston City, but there are people who are willing to help. We have people with generous hearts, people who have big hearts for the hurting, and we just want to mobilize them.
So Keith, tell us what the money you raised during GiveSI is going to be used for.
Well, we have probably about a third of our facility that's in an unfinished area. It's a lower level. Most people call it a basement, but it's an unfinished area. Take Action Today actually used it for some office spaces, but now it's just storage. We need to make it, finish it off so it can be an appropriate counseling room with confidential, a place for confidential conversations and things like that. It will enable us to have a couple more volunteers because right now we only have one counselor and she is just totally booked up. She's seeing 7 or 8 clients a day and it's just not feasible for us to advance. But we've also had a couple counselors, in our circle that said, I would like to give a couple hours a week to that. But we need a place for them to see clients. So we're hopefully going to finish out that lower area, make it a much nicer area. Plus that will help Take Action Today because it gives them that we've got laundry facility for them, shower facility. We actually have a guy working on the bathroom down there, making that a little nicer for the participants who come take showers and wash clothes.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're kind of a big jack of all trades type thing. We do a little bit of everything. We even give out a meal every day if people walk in around lunchtime. We have it's not always a hot meal, but we always have something we can send them home with. We just want to make sure that, like you said, we are addressing the whole person, the whole needs.
And I just still think about the whole counseling and reinvesting into the community. I just think that is so amazing. But then when I hear you talk about all these other services, you're having a huge impact in the community.
Well, thank you. We just praise God for what He's enabled us to do. He's provided some great resources, some great people to work with.
It sounds like in the short period of time of 2 years, give or take a little bit, you've had an incredibly positive impact on the community. How has the community supported you? How have they responded to you being in the community?
They've been very supportive. We have worked with our local government officials, our city council, our police chief. We've had, they know that we're there for people to provide food for them or even like a storm shelter, that kind of thing. We make sure we're available, and the people in the community have responded well to that. We make sure the Arrow News goes into all the little coffee spots around town and places where people hang out, and that kind of gives them a chance. I say a bunch of us old men, we get together and solve the world's problems at McDonald's. Well, this brings the world's problems back to a local level. We can actually talk about some things that are going on in the community that we could be involved in. So we've had great cooperation from the school district. We have our superintendent who's written a couple articles for our newspaper. We have other like pastors in the community that are contributing as well. So, we'd like to get everybody on board and just have a, unified approach to deal with some of these long-term problems.
Well, if you want to support Keith and Johnston City Hope and Renewal, did I get it right?
Hope and Renewal.
Yeah.
Hope and Renewal. Yeah. So I'm just making sure I have it here. Hope and Renewal.
We're going to work on that name, maybe get a little bit.
Well, usually the name's fine. It's just this H&R in here. Yeah. And so because we have so many throughout the day, it's like I want to make sure I say the names because I'm getting older, as Michelle likes to point out. And so if you want to donate to Johnston City Hope and Renewal, you can just 3 easy steps. Click in the description, click that link, scroll down and donate. And I will tell you again, Keith gets the marketing award of the year. And so they will do amazing things. And I love the fact that God is definitely working through their organization and having such a huge impact. So Keith, thank you for being with us today.